Hi, this is Francis Hughes, the editor of Witherburn After School News. If you're a fan of Witherburn After School News and want to support us, a great way would be to join us on Patreon. With a $5 monthly donation, you can get access to ad-free episodes, exclusive content, and our Discord. You can also make a one-time donation on our Ko-Fi and gain access to the Discord along with a special Discord role. You can find the links to our Patreon and Ko-Fi in each of our episodes, or you can go to patreon.com/Witherburn or ko-fi.com/Witherburn After School News. Thank you to all our supporters. We couldn't do this podcast without you.
Hi, this is Francis Hughes, the editor and assistant director of Witherburn After School News, with a notice about the remainder of this season. For the rest of season 1, there's going to be triggering content in most, if not all, of our episodes. Please check the description for the triggers before listening to the episodes. If you're having a rough day, consider coming back at a different time. Please take care of yourself.
Good evening, Witherburn. I know last time I had quite a scare with those photos, but it won't stop me from bringing you the news. Birdie tried to get me to take a break, but what kind of reporter would I be if I stopped when the going got tough? Besides, I'm needed now more than ever for normalcy and because I'm the only one that's even close to figuring out what's going on. Dramatic threats won't stop me. Our top stories today are about Amelia's dance and the strange comments she made, a pot field found in the woods, and what exactly happened to Austin Lowry. All that and more coming up on Witherburn After School News. Little update before we get into the meat of things. I understand that many of you were worried about me because of the whole brick being thrown through my window thing. I appreciate your concern for my safety and have taken some precautions. For example, I have a friend with me in case anything unsavory happens. And to answer a question on people's minds, no, I did not call the police.
You should have called someone.
Ignoring that, I found that with everything going on, the police probably wouldn't be in my best interests. Plus, that means they would take the evidence and... I'll be honest, listeners, I don't want them taking these photos so they're never seen again. I appreciate y'all worrying, I really do, but I am not going to be scared into silence. This is just like real journalism. This stuff happens to journalists all the time. So I'm fine. Everything is fine. Y'all don't have to worry about me. With all those theatrics out of the way, let's start with the Potfield story. Before I begin, let me tell y'all, because I know some of y'all are thinking it has been confiscated by the authorities. I know that some of y'all are very disappointed by that news. See, the Potfield was spread around an acre of land. It was hidden within the foliage to make it very hard to notice unless you were looking for it. The confiscated items weighed in around 100 pounds, and it was estimated that the marijuana would have been worth about $1 million. So someone's missing out on a payday. It had a complex water system to pump water to the plants and even had its own well. Authorities assume this operation has been going on for years. It was found by a hunter from Magnolia who was out looking for a good hunting spot. He says he wouldn't have noticed it himself, but his dog, who used to work for airport security, started signaling him. He said it was crazy. You don't expect to find something like this, not this big, and especially not in your backyard. See, I'm surprised they've been able to keep this field a secret for so long. It seems like a crazy operation. No arrests have been made, but according to law enforcement from Magnolia, there are some suspects. They wouldn't tell me the names, of course, even though I asked politely. They did tell me, though, that the connections were thin at best, and it was most likely someone from out of town who did this. Though, unless hard evidence is found, it's likely this will remain a mystery. If you notice that fish prices are going up, then you're not alone. Fishermen are saying that fish are disappearing from the rivers around Witherburn. Fishermen are only bringing in about 10% of what they used to catch. This can be quite devastating to a town that runs on fishing. Mr. Farrow says that he worries about his bottom line, but the business has had dry spells before. Also, it's hard to worry about fish when Clearly, we are a town with bigger problems. Some fishermen claim bad weather has caused them to move downstream, while others say that kind of talk is just old wives' tales. Mr. Pickler claims it's because a river monster is eating them, specifically the Altamahaha. He says he saw it floating in the water, and when he went to investigate, it swam away. Now, listeners, I'm not saying that's an alligator, but that's clearly an alligator. I mean, even the description of this creature sounds like it could just be an alligator. Let me read off of Cryptid Guy 420's post. The Altamahaha is said to live in the Altamaha River in Georgia. It's described in legend as a large, sturgeon-like creature with the head of a dolphin. I mean, come on. That's a gator. Also, interestingly enough, there are multiple sightings of the creature sunbathing on the banks of the river. Which, again, only makes sense if it's a weird-looking alligator because, no, I don't know if you know this, fish don't sunbathe. Now, to Mr. Pickler's credit, there are a few stories of this monster stealing the fish right off fishermen's lines, but no stories about them eating the entire local fish population. So honestly, I gotta rate this particular Mr. Pickler rambling at 2 out of 10. Pretty weak monster game this time around. We know Mr. Pickler can do better than that. So if monsters are out of the question, then what is causing the local fish population to drop? Well, some local college students use their home testing kits on the water. It turns out that the water has a high iron content, as well as decomposing bacteria, which is a weird problem to have. It is most likely that an iron deposit got uncovered and fish are moving out due to that. The decomposing bacteria could also be explained if there's a higher rate of fish dying, which, if the water is imbalanced, then it's quite possible. Chances are that in a few weeks it'll be washed away downstream, and our fish prices can go back to normal. In other news, Eva Sinninger was caught using her dad's keys to break into the school. What a stunt to pull after almost getting expelled! Apparently it was another officer that found her, not her dad, who I'm sure would have just swept this under the rug. She claimed she just forgot her backpack, which, okay then, get it in the morning like a normal person. I don't know why she thinks that's an excuse for breaking and entering. Okay, well, she didn't break anything, so it's actually just entering. But still, I think this is another example of the rampant abuse of power happening in Witherburn. It's kind of disappointing because Eva was cool. I knew her pretty well last year, and I wouldn't have thought she would ever pull a stunt like this. It also seems, I don't know, tone deaf? Come on, Amelia's memorial dance was this week, and there's some vandal that's out here wrecking memorials and giving creepy messages. A stunt like this, it just seems like... Wait a minute. Okay, call me crazy, but what if Eva was the vandal? That's why she was breaking in. What if that was the knife thing too, and she planned on, I don't know, putting it somewhere and making a statement? Maybe it's a stretch, but I don't know. I feel like it would explain a few things. Either way, Eva should definitely get suspended, vandal or not. It's really weird what she's doing. Keeping it going with the school-related news, Amelia had a memorial dance this week, as I'm sure most of you know. It seems like everyone in the county was there. For those who weren't there, it was beautiful and bittersweet and a very kind memorial to those who have gone missing this year. Amelia has, as always, put a lot of heart and thought into this. It really showed last night. This issue has affected so many people, and it was really, really nice to see the neighboring towns come together to support us. It's very easy out here when you live in the middle of nowhere to feel alone. So I'm glad to see that Witherburn isn't. I do have to give a shout out to Magnolia. Despite our rivalry, your town showed up for us. And I hate to say this, but it was mostly because After the Bell spearheaded a campaign to show up and donate. So I'm sorry about calling y'all knockoffs of me and loser reporters and fluff journalists and stupid and...
I think they get it.
Right. Sorry. Thank you, After the Bell. I tip my journalistic cap to you. I know for a lot of people in Magnolia, the struggles that Witherburn has been having became personal this week. And I promise I will talk about Austin later. But before that, I did want to bring up something else from that night. A little birdie told me about an interesting conversation that happened after the dance. Amelia was backstage accepting her flowers. Literally. She was talking to a few people who helped out, and someone asked why she did this in the first place. She said, "Well, I really care about Arya. I feel like as her friend I have to do something." Then she went quiet before she said, "And Hunter said some stuff to me that made me think." Of course, this caused an uproar, because why on earth would you talk to Hunter? And what on earth could he have said? Well, she explained that Hunter has been harassing her and essentially implying that she could go missing. That the only reason she hasn't is because she is so academically and athletically successful. She said, and I quote, "He told me that if I wasn't such an overachiever, then no one would care what happened to me. Who would care about the daughter of some tackle shop owner?" This nearly caused everyone to march out and give Hunter a piece of their mind. Amelia stopped them, though, because she didn't want to make a fuss. It would have ruined the night. Well, the night is over, Amelia, and I'm gonna make a fuss. Who on earth talks to people like that? No one is defined by their academic success or how good they are at their hobbies. And frankly, it's weird to act like those even matter. And to say how no one would miss her, it's disgusting. It's also just another example about how Hunter gets away with everything. I mean, I don't know about you, but with people going missing left and right, I consider what Hunter said a threat. He gets to talk to people like this, and what happens? Nothing. Nothing ever happens with him. It's infuriating. I'm sure we are all mad that the Clarks get to terrorize the town. Literally terrorize. And I might sound crazy here, but if Hunter is out here threatening students, then maybe, just maybe, we should be investigating him to see if he's the vandal or if he's the reason people are disappearing in the first place. I don't know, it seems extreme, but do we have any other leads? No. Hunter is the only one that's threatening people on a regular basis. Let's not forget Rachel Brown and how he harassed her as well. I mean, we have to be at least a little suspicious. Think about it. He hangs out with Eva, who brought a weapon to school. His parents are paying off the police and the mayor. He threatens other students. Don't you think we should have at least some sort of investigation into him? Who am I kidding? The police won't do anything. But I suppose it is part of a journalist's job to do investigations.
You aren't investigating Hunter.
Why not?
A, you're not a real journalist. B, we just agreed you would keep a low profile.
Fine, but I stand by what I said. Maybe it will give listeners something to think about. Our next story possibly solves one of America's biggest mysteries. As we have all probably heard, Mrs. Brooks passed away about a month ago. So while cleaning out his mother's things, deciding what to keep and what to donate, Mr. Brooks found an old painting in her attic. Having sworn he had seen it somewhere, he looked it up, because who knows, maybe it could be worth some money. Well, when he looked it up, he found out that it was a Rembrandt. Which, okay, it could be a copy or something. Nope, he looked at it some more, and it's an original. And you might think that's the craziest part, but no, the craziest part is that this painting is Christ in the Sea of Galilee, which was stolen and was part of the largest art theft in American history. See, in 1990, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum hosted the painting until one night a group of thieves came in dressed as police officers. They stole 13 paintings, including the one Mr. Brooks found in his house. None of the paintings have ever been found until now. The museum has even sent experts to confirm the identity of the painting, and yep, it's the real deal. So that brings us to the main question. How on earth did a stolen Rembrandt get in Mrs. Brooks' attic? Well, there are some theories. One theory is that Mrs. Brooks bought it without knowing its significance, which I don't think makes a lick of sense. This painting is worth millions of dollars, and she just, bought it at a garage sale? No, that's too improbable. Another theory is that she herself was an art thief, probably in cahoots with the Pink Panthers, which are the primary suspects for the 13 stolen paintings. Apparently, Mrs. Brooks didn't tell her son a lot about her younger years. She kept that to herself. Mr. Brooks also said he suspected his mom had secrets, but he didn't expect them to be this big. It somewhat lines up. Mrs. Brooks didn't move to Witherburn until 1992. She didn't have Mr. Brooks until 1993. Who knows if she was just a retired art thief? But one thing we know about the thieves is that they were men. So that kind of rules out that theory. But here's my take, listeners. I think she was holding on to the painting for someone, and for some reason, they just didn't have the ability to come back and get it. Think about it. You just stole a Rembrandt, and you want the police off your tail, so you drop it off at your sister's or girlfriend's. Then something happens. You probably get arrested because you're committing major art theft on a regular basis, and you can't go back to get your Rembrandt, so it just sits in her attic for years and years and years. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the situation. Mr. Brooks did end up getting the $10 million reward from the museum for helping them solve at least part of the case, so wow, good for him. With the fun mystery out of the way, we have to talk about the mystery that has been plaguing our town, and is possibly plaguing Magnolia as well. Austin Lowry from Magnolia was declared missing earlier this week. The police report described him as a black man with black hair and brown eyes. He is 6 foot and was last seen wearing a Magnolia hoodie and jeans. Some notable features are that he has a scar on his left palm. If you have any information, please contact the Magnolia Police Department. God. I'm getting tired of reading police descriptions. Austin was a straight-A student, but he was also more than that. He was a friend to many people in Magnolia. He was head of the Honor Society and often led service projects in his community. Austin was an avid writer and said his dream was to write a novel. His loss is felt greatly within the Magnolia community. I know that his disappearance is a big reason why so much of the Magnolia community showed up to Amelia's dance. I just want to say that Witherburn knows what it's like to lose a valued member of the community. We will stand by you like you stood by us. We currently don't know if the Magnolia police are connecting this disappearance with the string of disappearances happening in Witherburn. I mean, I would. In fact, I think this is more evidence against the police's runaway theory, since Austin Lowry didn't know anyone from Witherburn. The Magnolia police seemed more invested in his case, though, unlike the Witherburn police with our own missing persons cases. They haven't labeled him as a runaway teen yet, and instead have labeled the cause for disappearance as unknown. This makes sense because Austin seems to have just disappeared. The only evidence that we have is a video doorbell that spotted him from across the street. He is walking home from school when suddenly he stops and turns towards the woods. He appears to be talking to someone, something in the tree line. If you really squint at the video, you can see this human-sized, shadowy figure in the woods, but it's so blurry you can't really tell what it is. This conversation goes on for around 15 minutes. Austin looks a bit confused and goes silent before he says something, but no one can even take a guess as to what he's saying because of how grainy it is. Then, suddenly, Austin walks into the woods. And that, presumably, is the last time Austin is seen by anyone. There was an immediate search of the woods. People from all over came out to help search, yet he didn't leave a trace. Not a scrap of cloth or anything. Even the hounds couldn't catch his scent. Yet, by the river that separates Magnolia from Witherburn, right by the Clarks' hunting property, right at the end of their search radius, there was a footprint that matched Austin's shoes. There was also blood on a nearby tree. The blood is currently being tested, so we don't know who it belongs to, though in my opinion, it's pretty obvious. People are taking this as a good sign, though. Unlike the other disappearances, there are actual leads. I'm just hoping the Magnolia police actually bother to follow them. For instance, go ask the Clarks if they saw anything, or if they have any cameras by their property. With how secretive they are about it, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a whole security team patrolling that thing. If this is all done properly, then maybe, just maybe, we can find him. I have become very, very jaded when it comes to police investigations, but I hope they find him. I really do. That's a really sad note to end on. I know, but maybe we can have a little hope. I know that feeling has been in short supply lately. Let's try to hold on to it while we can. That's all the stories I have for you, Witherburn. Stay safe out there and don't forget about the class hike next week. Make sure to tune in next time. I'm the reporter, signing off.
Witherburn After School News is written and directed by Jordan Oliver. Our assistant director and editor is Francis Hughes. The title song is by FutureMe. The reporter is played by Jordan Oliver, and Birdie is played by Alyssa Godfrey.